on the path.
For the stable release, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So the trouble with the stable release is that we are not able to ship osquery on anything that is not what we have compiled it on. Because there is no custom toolchain, we do not have the third-party dependencies built correctly, and some things are not linked statically, like the libc++, if I'm not mistaken. And unless we fix this, we will not able to make the final stable release.
Yeah, so since we are using the libc version of the distro we are building on, we are using a quite new version, and that won't work on older platforms, distros.
Yeah, I'll mention it here since you are recording that some people were concerned that we dropped some platforms, but that is just the pre-release state of things. We will try to restore as many platforms as possible. Some people are still using Windows 7. I don't think it was ever tested there. I know that Facebook did provide some degree of support there, so you could report issues with it, and they would at least try to fix them. I'm not sure we can add any kind of CI on it, but we can at least do the same and test it once in a while. And we will, of course, try to drop support for Ubuntu 14. It is really painful to build it there. Since we are speaking about this, yeah, we have Teddy working on the new custom toolchain. The old one was causing several issues, and it didn't really work properly with CMake. And in addition to this, he's also working on a replacement for the third-party dependencies that Facebook is now providing. And speaking of that, we really have no way right now to change those files. And we actually have to recompile them because we would like to change the compilation flags. We initially talked about using Git LFS, but it is really bad for this kind of usage because it works like a cache storage. So whenever you edit a file, you basically reload it from scratch and use twice the size. And concerning GitHub, we only have 1 GB of space, both for bandwidth and storage. And when that is over, you either pay, which is like $5 for 50 GB for storage and bandwidth, or when you clone, you will just get file pointers, and you will basically not be able to build anything at all until the current month end, or you pay, of course.
Is there a reason we don't want to cache things on S3? What's the thinking?
I would like to keep using S3 because it is really easy. ACLs are, really helpful if we want to allow people to load things up. And data at rest doesn't cost as much as Git LFS.
Yeah.
And yeah, transfer is also comes at a nice price. We of course need to find. Well, someone has to pay for it, right? So we have to look at how we can do this.
Yeah.
We currently have some storage on DigitalOcean, which is S3 compatible. I guess Mike will be able to tell us more about this, if we can keep using that for the time being while we negotiate something with the Linux Foundation.
We're using the DigitalOcean currently, you said?
Yeah, so we had this S3 space on DigitalOcean that we used for the old master to fix the boost packages. It is currently not used anymore, but we can easily restore it.
Yeah, as long as it's S3 compatible, it seems like it would be an easy thing to change at some point if you decide to go with an actual S3 bucket. In terms of paying for it in the medium term, yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay.
We have a large credit with DigitalOcean, so as long as things aren't insane, I think we're talking about hundreds of dollars maybe.
Yeah, of course.
Not hundreds of thousands, not yet anyway.
And DigitalOcean just added a CDN feature to their buckets, so that can probably be configured to be cheaper.
Nice.
Yeah, but we need to figure out a way to actually pay for some of this infrastructure, so that TrailBits doesn't continue paying for it. And
well, we just internally we had discussed a model for osquery sponsorship, where companies would be acknowledged for their contribution. But I guess first we should think about what our costs actually are, do a little cost accounting, and try to understand what we need, so that we know what to ask for.
There is so there's a website that actually models this kind of well. There's a service called Open Collective. It's basically a way for open source projects to transparently request donations, and you can keep a budget there. And so when people donate, you can say when you're withdrawing from that donation pool, you can say what you're withdrawing towards. So you can say I paid the developer for this feature, or like I paid for G Suite or whatever. So we get to define what the costs are. So it's something that we can probably bring up for the TSC to look at and see if the osquery Foundation if the Linux Foundation has some other recommendation. But I would look into that.
Okay, Open Collective.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something I can look at and bring up with Ryan and Zach and everybody else and see what people's thoughts are. But long term, it's not feasible for you guys to burn it for everybody else. There's also like Facebook is paying for Slack right now, and that's a big chunk of money, and it's worth discussing. Like it's nice that they're going to keep paying for it now, but if we're going to do a budget, like we should still put it a line item and say like Facebook's covering it. So if it goes away in the future, we can have a contingency plan for that.
Yeah, and we have the Azure pipelines, build infrastructure.
Yep.
And GitHub doesn't cost anything for us, and I don't know what the price tier where it would cost something is.
I think for open, as long as it's open source and we're not using something like GitLFS, it's free. But yeah,
Okay.
There's also going to be some other costs. For example, one of the things that we're pursuing is getting citing certificates, and with Apple to do that, we need to pay $100 a year for that, and potentially more if we want an enterprise cert, and maybe Apple can donate that or something, like give it to us for free, but maybe not. But either way, we need to have a legal entity for a bunch of these things. So one of the questions that we're pursuing with the Linux Foundation is figuring out what the next steps are to get a DUNS number and everything for. And
one more cost is the hosting for the website. Yeah. I guess Facebook pays for that.
It's actually shifted to GitHub right now, which is broken. But we're probably going to move it back to Netlify.
Those are GitHub pages?
Yeah, it's GitHub pages. The problem is that it's a single page app. So right now it's fixed through a hack. But like single page apps need to, like the server hosting the JavaScript file needs to be aware there's a single page app, so it needs to serve specific routes separately. So the problem is that you can go to the index page, and it's going to serve you the index page. Then you can navigate from them. The URL will change. But if you take the permanent link to like some table or something and you paste it into Slack, somebody will go to it and it's going to 404 because the backend is not actually aware of like there's no HTML page up there to serve you. It has to serve the index again. So I think Zach fixed it by always serving the index page even if it's a 404. It's not a great solution. So Netlify solved that issue before, but Teddy changed it back to GitHub to reduce some of the dependencies, and we'll have to figure that out. But yeah, right now it's a free cost.
About the signing keys, I know that Teddy has the GPG key that is used to sign the Linux packages. And I didn't ask him, but I was wondering how it works for the certificates used to sign Windows and macOS. I know he was trying to reuse the same keys. And of course, for a GPG key, it is really easy. But for everything else, I wonder if you can actually transfer them.
Yeah, we can't. So that was what I was saying before. Is to get a cert from Apple again, it'll be a completely new signing cert, but we need to. Apple will only issue them. Well, they can issue them to a developer, so like I can use mine, but that's not a good idea, right? So we have to establish a business entity and then go to Apple and say, give us, a distribution cert for this legal name, and then that process costs money and takes time, but eventually it gets there. And I imagine Microsoft has some sort of similar validation. Steph actually knows about Microsoft. He did it recently for Collide.
So we will have to change the signing key for Windows and macOS at least.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, we can sign those things with the GPG keys, but it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
And then the other issue with macOS now, we need notarization. osquery is not going to. It's not going to launch in 10.15 properly without it.
Okay. One thing that we never talked about, no one here has access to the repositories used by Debian, CentOS, and so on, where we can host this.
Package repositories, is that a goal that we want to pursue?
I actually never use them, but Teddy has told me that there are some repositories, official repositories from Facebook with packages in it.
Yeah. So I've posted like an app repo before. There's actually a service like I would like to move them to, I forget what it's called, but there's a service that can host those, and then we don't have to worry about the infrastructure, or we can invest into it, and it's we can transfer or set up the apt and Yum repos that Facebook used to have. I don't know that it's a goal, but if you have users that depend on those, then maybe it is.
Well, as far as I recall, when we were doing NoSQL, some user requested that they wanted to have those repositories, and especially packages assigned from those repositories, and probably also signing the repository itself, the repository index. Yeah.
Yeah, so if we can transfer Teddy's keys, we can sign them. But I think the osquery repo is just backed by S3 right now.
So do we care about Choco? How many people were actually using osquery from Choco?
Windows users probably care. I don't. I want to invest in building better MSI tooling. So fixer.
agree.
It seems to me that our customers always wanted the MSI. Everybody I heard wanted the MSI
Yeah.
because that's what they deploy. I mean, individual users might appreciate a package that they can use with Choco, but how many individual users do we have?
That's also my the public repositories why I'm not so invested in them, because a lot of people want to build a package that also has the init and the correct config. Like not everybody. So some people want just like the osquery binary. And then they use config management or whatever to set up the service. But most people don't have that infrastructure very well done. So they want a custom config to be packaged in there for their environment. And the best we can do there is tooling.
So you mean provide a way to build an MSI with custom
Yeah. So
files and configuration in it or other packages? Okay.
Yep. So there's support for that today. It's just not super polished. But you can when you build a Mac package or when you build an MSI, you can specify a path to a config file, or you can specify a flag file.
Yeah.
And it'll bundle those so that if you have fleet or something in your organization, you can build an MSI that enrolls directly into it.
Mm-hmm.
And those scripts are there, but they need some attention.
Yeah, I'm asking because actually I think that I would really like to not use the script. So I think the scripts are the ones that I based the CMake packaging on.
Mhm.
Though, yeah, I didn't tackle the custom part of it, meaning that right now it just builds with standard setup. So it brings in all the files and default configuration.
Yep.
So maybe we can work on that. Actually, I don't know. Work on the CMake part and have there the custom configuration.
Yeah, so Seth was saying that CMake has some built-in packaging support.
Yeah, CPAC. Yeah.
And that,
yeah.
Does that support working with init systems? So like building a systemd specific unit, like bundling a unit file and launching it and all that?
You mean on post installation
Yeah,
action?
so
you can. I think you have to give scripts which are called post install. They have to just put them in a specific path, and then the packaging system RPM or Deb will take care of calling them. So yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I think if I recall right, there is already one script that does that to start the osquery service. If I
Yeah. Okay. So it's a matter of templating them so that the user can provide their own. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna make a note to look into CPAC for the next couple of weeks and see if I can help with that or bring up.
Yeah. On that note, I also wanted to. There's some work to be done for the signing, and also to simplify a bit the things, because you can create packages right now, but you have to start from source basically, because you need to have the build folder with all the CMake files to be able to run CPAC.
Mhm.
Though there's a way to run CPAC without CMake, but you need to write config file, let's say, which is actually again a CMake script. And I was thinking that if that CMake script expects binaries in a specific path, basically it can only it can simply take those binaries and put them inside the package without requiring the whole infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there are things to be moved around a bit in the current CPAC infrastructure.
One of the things that I did with Launcher and the way we were distributing osquery is that I would separate build a binary and put it in a tar file, and then host it somewhere, and then starting the packaging from that binary so that there's a shared release that the packages can be built from. But it would make sense to do that kind of separation of somebody builds and the person that creates the packages isn't necessarily the person who builds them.
Mhm.
And that way we can also separate the signing, because we'll need to code sign the binaries, and then we'll also need to sign the packages, and those things can also be separate.
And I
Yeah,
can't
but-
imagine TPAC will do as much as Wix or PKG.
Well, it'll shell out to them, but yeah.
Okay.
The biggest issue, the CLA. I'm sorry, I didn't notice that the bot was not there anymore. Seems like Facebook deleted the integration, or maybe it is still there but it doesn't work. We have to fix this. I guess it is fine if people who previously signed the CLA commit to the repository. We have accepted a couple of pull requests from people, and we don't know if they signed anything before.
Okay.
I know that one was a super small fix, like just -1+1 on a port somewhere in the TLS code or HTTP client code. So at the very worst, we can revert it.
Okay, and I think that's Grant, so you can probably just reach out to him. Or it was either Grant or somebody from Optics. I'm sure it's.
Yeah, all right.
I like the suggestion that Dan made of taking the template that already exists and going with it.
So yeah, we want to start with that, and then of course we need validation from the Linux Foundation.
Yeah.
So I guess we will just prepare it and then send an email.
Okay. Also, I'd be interested in seeing Ryan comment on that.
Yeah.
Because they will have to sign that.
So yeah, of course.
Have to go by their lawyers, and it's probably not a problem, but
I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I added both Eddie and Ryan to the issue. I'm not sure if they have replied to anything there.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet, it seems.
I had one question about the toolchain. Earlier, you had mentioned custom toolchain, Alessandro. What exactly does that mean?
The old osquery used this toolchain, which was bootstrapped. It involved several steps, but it used Brew to compile an old version of glib, an old version of GCC. Then they were used to build LLVM and Clang, which was then used to build the lib C++. And with the last two components, you would build all the dependencies. So the idea was to have a common compilation platform for all the releases on all distributions. There was actually a bug there, or rather, Stefan can talk about this more. The glibc version used was too recent, since we were still targeting Ubuntu 14. I didn't take a look at the new proposed toolchain yet. Stefan may know more about it. and or the dependencies too.
So you were just talking about Linux, is that correct? Versus
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is more of a Linux platform issue.
Right. Okay.
I'm curious. Is there already a shared one that you could take from another project? Like, since CMake is, the standard for, like, does every project have to reinvent this, or is that something that you could take like a libc from somewhere else where it's
Well,
it's being built?
well, it's not. It's not the libc problem. So, meaning, I hope I understood right what you were saying, but I understood that. Let's say that you are on CentOS 6 and your toolchain requires a libc version that it's newer than the one that is available on the system. You wanted to take the newer libc from somewhere else and basically install it on the CentOS 6 distro.
Mhm.
Okay. The problem there, it's not that you cannot retrieve a version that works with yours. Well, a newer version. The problem is that version is not compiled with the modules you have on that system. So basically, libc interfaces you, for instance, with PAM modules and other things. So if that libc is not compiled with the same version of those other modules, it might not work because.
But are we going for a static build?
So yes, that's why we have to choose when we have to build a toolchain. We have to choose libc that is old enough to support all the distros we want to support.
Okay.
In the older osquery, we had there was a libc that was a bit newer actually than CentOS 6. It wasn't giving issues, but yeah, probably just because we were
Visible issues.
Yeah, probably because we were not using too much some of those modules. But yeah, I wouldn't like to have something like that. I would have to have something precise. And
if we're doing something like that, who's watching for like the security patches that go for libc? Like, is somebody always backporting fixes into that toolchain, or?
I don't think it has ever happened here.
Okay.
But yeah, it would be nice to do it and use a library which is still supported.
Okay.
Which I guess it is. I mean, if we take the oldest supported distribution as a reference for the version, we will get updates. Yeah, we should subscribe for changes there. Maybe we can like set up a watcher on the repository for like if we take Ubuntu 16, for example. I'm not sure if it is older than CentOS 6. No,
I think
then
6 is the oldest one.
Yeah, so we just check the security updates. That's a really nice idea. And about the toolchain, another thing that sucks is that osquery uses many system headers that are not normally installed inside a toolchain. For example, like the BPF headers, or the things inside your server include Linux and Linux ASM. And not even sure if, to be fair, I'm not really experienced with custom toolchain. But I don't think it is common to include so many system files inside the package for obvious reasons.
Yeah, well, I think there you are. I mean, the build you do, the osquery build you do, will work on on that platform with those header files. You cannot escape that.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, it's
But
Doesn't
what I meant is that we also compile a lot of low-level code with the toolchain.
Sorry, can you repeat it?
What I meant is that we also compile low-level stuff with the toolchain rather than higher level.
Mm-hmm.
Like I guess that if ever the BPF bytecode change again with another toolchain, we will not be able to reference those values.
Yeah, for sure. Like you're stuck with the features you have on that platforms. I think you cannot you cannot use something newer in the toolchain, even if you carry around headers.
Yeah, I chose BPF as an example, but it's not applicable here as LLVM will generate and target the architecture we want. It was just an example.
I was just trying to see what other projects are doing. Unfortunately, the big ones are using Bazel. Well, at least the ones I'm looking at.
Now, I wonder how I'm sure if you, Stefano, have looked into the toolchain that Teddy was building. I was wondering how it is built. Is it built incrementally like the old one?
Yeah, because so you take, in this case, the script should take a newer version of GCC, like quite new version, like version 8 something. Then you build zlib and some other lib with glibc, the old glibc, and then build an LLVM linking to that zlib version. Again, obviously using GCC. And then you have the toolchain ready, kind of.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the new toolchain.
I'm not sure. Basically, the custom toolchain are that common because actually, normally is much more common. So you have people building the packages for you. So the repo maintainers. So you don't have to care to that. So it's difficult to find many examples.
Yeah, on that line of thought, now that we refactor the CMake, it is possible, as Stefano said, to request distribution maintainers to include the osquery package because they can use system libraries. I was wondering if it is worth to ask. I guess most people would like to have their own osquery version, unless I'm wrong.
What do you mean by have their own osquery version?
Well, I mean, having the exact version they have planned everything for.
Well, I don't know. I feel like most people would want to have a signed release on GitHub and use that. But internally, we're looking at duplicating the build so we can verify. We might use the public one, but having the ability to say, that it builds to the same checksum.
Yeah.
And running a parallel CI, like that would be nice.
I wasn't proposing to not release on GitHub. I was thinking if it was worth to also try and submit osquery as a package inside the distributions.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the packaging is more diverse, but I think the binary is shared among many people. Obviously, there's some vendors that fork osquery for their distribution to their customers, but as far as like users who are choosing to deploy osquery themselves, most of them probably go on GitHub and say, I want to use this version.
Yeah, all right. So I was wondering, do we have to change anything inside the milestone?
Inside what?
Inside the milestone we have made. Also, we ended up using 4.0.0 as a pre-release, which means that we can no longer use the same version for this stable.
That's fine. The stable will just be,
4.0.1.
20 or something.
Yeah, I just wanted to check if it was an issue for anyone.
No, that's good.
So I guess we already have the custom toolchain. We already have the current dependencies. Let me see if I can share my screen. So yeah, how much these issues are correct to be here? So we of course have to fix the version field.
Can you refresh the page? I think you have I'm seeing 7 issues here, but
yeah. I was saying, is there anything which is more higher priority than the custom toolchain and the third-party servers?
higher priority.
I guess we have the CLA to fix, but that is more like a background thing.
Yeah, I think the custom toolchain is the biggest one.
Did you find any huge showstopper in your tests?
No, I tested the extensions and I wrote a few, and it seemed like I was getting expected output from that. And I still need to build on Windows. I did all my tests on Mac, but I didn't see any issues there.
Nice.
Just a comment. For some reason, I'm not sure if it's something from me, but if I open the 4.0.1 milestone, I see something different. I see 7 issues open and 3 closed. So you might be seeing something.
I think
which is in the works.
Want to refresh the page. It's because of the is issue label. There's a pull request in there as well.
Okay, I see.
So if you remove the is issue,
this one.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we all agree that we should look into these two, highest priority.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone here is familiar with Bach, we may need some help in adding in populating a version field automatically.
Okay.
Yeah, the current release is still marked as 3.4.0.
Yeah, I've opened the PR with CMake, for CMake.
Yeah.
To do that. I see we were discussing how how to present actually the version. Because right now what I did is that if the commit is not exactly on the tag, it still shows the version tag, but maybe it's better to show that's a dirty commit, so show the hash and how many commits is away from the tag. So basically change the command used.
Git describe, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's I had a. Hold on. Try to pull this up. Stamping.
And also have to add the ability to set the version at a specific version, like so that the user from the CMake configuration can force a version. Yeah.
Oh yeah, how many people?
Do we want to force the version, or do we just want to read it from Git? And it'll have --dirty if it's not a proper build.
Well, Alex Packet Zero made. I was wondering too, but made a good point that they actually set their own version because they release independently from
No.
from the official repository. So I could think that even in cases where the commit is not on the tag, it's because they've added some patches or other commits, so they are doing a custom build, and they don't want to see any weird hashes or commits number. So they want to have their own versioning.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it actually
Just an
takes it takes that default version, whether it's dirty or not, and it prepends another version that you set, an osquery version with an underscore in between them.
I lost the subject. Who is?
That's Alex.
Yeah, so I believe when we set the osquery version, it prepends that to whatever the default version is, and it's separated by an underscore.
Okay, I see.
I was trying to tag Alex here, but I'm failing because I don't know your nickname on GitHub.
Zero.
Oh yeah, sorry. You're right. But I can see it here probably. Yeah, if you have any requirement, maybe you can comment so we can so we do it right.
I wrote a little comment on there.
Oh, nice.
But whether it doesn't have to be compatible, as long as there's some way we can customize our version, but we still want to know what version it was based off of.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I've had good luck with git describe tags and --dirty, and that gives you, well, it gives you the tag, but then if you're a few commits away from it, it tells you the commit as well, and it tells you if you have a clean or dirty local repository.
Yeah, I think that's what we use now, right?
Yeah, we were planning to. Yeah. Okay. Only right now the PR that it's removing any additional information, so it's skipping only the versioning, the numbers only.
Okay.
The standard CMA version. But you said, Alex, you said that you still would like to have the original, the actual version, because the thing is, I can add an option to override the osquery version variable, osquery _ version, and that goes inside the code, changes in the code the version, and also the output in the packages, the name of the packages when they are built. So right now it takes the version, the complete version used is taken from Git. But if I add an option to override that, you can specify a version.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go through and catalog what we use and where it shows up.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be one of those weird things that nobody uses or tests. So I'll take a better look and see if it makes more sense, how we can make it more streamlined for everybody.
Okay.
Okay, I'll comment on the issue. I feel like we can probably make it so anybody can do whatever they want by reading the tag, because then you can create your own tags locally. And if it's reading the latest Git tag, then you're fine. But yeah.
And you have to be careful when you fork the branch. You're not getting the tags by default.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and you have to do. Yeah, if you take from the tags, you have to do then some cleanups, because otherwise you can have two tags with the same commit, and there's no. I mean, they compete with each other. I'm not sure which one it would take.
That's a good point.
I guess we covered all the agenda.
Maybe just mentioning that. I mean, there's no precise decision to be done. Just mentioning that the bug builds, I did a PR for the bug builds because right now we were only building in release. And I also had to do a temporary change on how the bug builds are compiled, because the bug symbols are really big. Basically, the whole build, it's with all the tests, it's like 17 gigabytes. So the CI currently cannot host that. You can only host up to 10 gigabytes. But yeah, we eventually want to have the bug symbols back, because we might then run a static analyzer, runtime static analyzer like ASAN and things like that, so that you have then readable stack trace. And yeah, we have to start a bit on ways to reduce the size. There are several. There are many pros and cons. And yeah, maybe I'll open an issue and detail it a bit more.
Okay.
There's some work to be done there too. Yeah.
Okay. Before we meet again, I'm gonna familiarize myself with CPAC and see what progress I can make there, and I'll try to push the signing bureaucracy and see if when we get to a release we can sign at least the Linux stuff.
Okay, sounds wonderful.
Yeah, help us. I'll review the pull request 5616, which is for the third-party dependencies. We'll try to dedicate some time on it. But yeah, the more people looking at it, the better.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. See you on Slack. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Bye.